Day 7 of the Radio Free Skaro Fluid Links Advent Calendar. Here is the question from Socrates, a.k.a. Socrates, Socrates Zorba FC on Twitter. If New Who decided to remake an old Who story, which one would you choose and why? Remake. Ooh.
Would this be our opportunity to take something not so good and maybe make it better? Like, do we want to go with the Time Lash kind of
to take a sad song
vibe
and make it better? I think you could probably do that. Yeah, do you want to remake Time Lash? Is that the one?
I'm thinking I want to remake Time Lash.
I think you're right.
I can't think of one that's better. Vengeance of Varos would be interesting to do through the lens of today's media.
Oh, that's a good. Basically, all of season 22 is what you're saying here. Yeah, because I have said often on this podcast that Time Lash, for all its many faults, is essentially a modern Doctor Who celebrity historical. You know, the framing of it is very much that, and I think you could probably do a reasonable story out of Time Lash. You could, cast I don't know who as Herbert. H.G. Wells. I mean, the bones of a good story are actually there in Time Lash. It's just tragic that
disaster.
Literally everything around it is utterly terrible. Boy, how could we? We settle on Time Lash, but how would we do it? Like, how would you? Would the same story sort of work? I think it kind of does. Maybe.
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, got to punch up the dialogue a lot.
Well, the same base story, sure.
Yeah. You don't necessarily need to tie it in with a previous unseen John Pertwee adventure. So I'm thinking you could pare it down to a 50-minute story.
Yeah, and up the pace like there's no tomorrow.
The pace. The Doctor isn't floating around some Contron tunnel. There's no tinsel. Remove the tinsel from the time. Actually,
the Vander wouldn't look terrible. They'd actually use proper, effect.
I think what would be fun though is that they knew the Bandrels, and somewhere on Carful there's a little children's puppet tent, and they're showing puppet plays for children, and they have Bandrel sock puppets as a nod to the original sock puppet villain.
I have another idea.
Okay.
How about redo the Twin Dilemma, which is terrible, but make the twins the focus of they're the bad guys. All their mathematical nonsense is causing trouble. Make what's his name? I can't remember the name of the slug, but make him a victim of their idiocy. Make it so they're manipulating the universe, and the Doctor has to stop them.
Or here's the if you want to do the Twin Dilemma again. Here's my way of fixing the Twin Dilemma.
Get rid of it.
Not make it about twins. What? There's no point. Why are they twins? There's no point for the twins to exist. When you have a twin, you're thinking, oh, we're going to do some fun subterfuge. And, oh, is that the one twin? No, it's the other one. We got fooled by the doppelganger. There's no point in having a twin. So basically, instead of the twin dilemma, we would have the only child dilemma. And they would just kidnap a person and think, do you have a twin? No. And that would fix that story.
Bakes, you're taking a lot of heat here for no reason.
A little bit. Yeah, we're remaking the entirety of the Colin Baker era. Do we really think that?
Not Attack of the Cybermen. It's sacrosanct. Also, how do you recast Lytton?
Actually, now I'm just thinking now. Since Attack of the Cybermen relied so much on tying back to previous Doctor Who stories, none of which were known to fully exist at the time, which was great work there, Ian Livett. Sorry. Polymore. Basically, you do a new Attack of the Cybermen, except you're tying back to Attack of the Cybermen. That's the story that you're referencing instead of Tomb and 10th Planet, and instead you're tying back to that. And then you have a bunch of criminals on some desert planet trying to steal a spaceship for no real reason as well. Yeah, I think you could totally remake Attack of the Cybermen and make it worse, which is probably the goal of this, right?
Or you could remake Revelation of the Daleks and actually have the Doctor involved in it.
That is some bold
in fact, bringing
thinking,
Jodie
Chris.
back into a previous one, you could have Jodie come back into the Revelation of the Daleks, because there's a whole episode for her to play around in.
That's true.
Ooh. And Jodie Whittaker's Doctor could find the Colin Baker headstone memorial thing as well.
Right.
Because she would recognize him, but if it was the other way around, or imagine if there's a 13th Doctor memorial headstone kind of thing there that the 6th Doctor walks by because he doesn't know who that is.
I have an idea. as we tie back into previous ones, you could also have, like, instead of Rula Lenska in Resurrection of the Daleks, it'd be Jodie Whittaker's doctor, because her and the doctor never meet.
That's true.
Yeah. So basically, we are remaking the Colin Baker era
And Pierre Davison, apparently.
for the Jodie Whittaker era, essentially, is what we're doing here.
Just season 23
Just-
plus Twin Dilemma. Or 22 rather.
22.
Plus Twin
The
Dilemma.
whole of 22 remade. The two doctors, you could do the two doctors. They go to Spain regularly now. You could have just random doctor, like Chris Eccleston makes his return and looks as old as he does now because it didn't bother changing Patrick Troughton's age in two doctors either.
That's
so
true.
make just as much sense. And then you could also like,
You could have a season 9B theory coming out of that one.
let's do
This
it.
might be a season 9C at
Or
this point.
season 1B rather, whatever.
Yeah.
Season
I-
9 refers to the Ninth
Ninth
Doctor.
Doctor.
Oh, it's all coming together.
I like this idea of remaking the entirety of season 22. The funny thing is that, like, instead of, like, we could have, like, remade, I don't know, or made for the first time the aborted season 23, but no, we choose to just completely remake one that already exists. We dump on Colin Baker and remake all
Yep.
his stuff.
Lazy fans.
So there we go, everyone. We have basically series 14 of Modern Who will be Jodie Whittaker's take on most of the Colin Baker era. So stand by for that. It should be good or bad, depending on your point of view.
Or both.